Politics is a very interesting game. On Wednesday, William Samoei Arap Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, convened an urgent parliamentary group meeting of Kenya Kwanza at Statehouse in Nairobi. And during that meeting, they came up with a list of nominees to the East African Legislative Assembly. As a matter of fact, they voted for that list. Remember, the voting is actually supposed to take place in Parliament, not at State House. But Kenya Kwanza decided that voting was taking place in State House. And they came up with a list. And let me just read for you what it will be posted, because Itumbi is the Hustler Nation's spokesperson. Democracy in action at State House. There was no democracy at State House at all. Voting was supposed to happen in Parliament. So if there was democracy, it was going to be in Parliament. So which means there was some ill motives why they decided to take that voting at State House. And I'm going to explain. President William Ruto tells MPs he will not choose for them amongst the 15 applicants for EALA to be elected. The president is not supposed to choose. The parties are supposed to recommend names. Kenya Kwanza, or UDA for that matter, had recommended names, and those names had been submitted to Parliament. So it was upon Parliament to decide. And he's saying, voting underway for the 5 UDA nominee. In ODM and Wiper, the decision was made in the homes of the party leaders without a single vote. In Jubilee, the list was developed in darkness. In a few minutes, UDA nominees will be unveiled after a democratic process. You know, Itumbi is actually trying to praise whatever was happening in State House, which should not have happened. Okay, and he's saying in a few minutes, UDA nominees will be unveiled after a democratic process. Voting is by secret ballot. UDA, the home of democracy, transparency, and participation. Investing in dreams. So that was before the voting. And after the voting, this is what it will be posted. Congratulations to the new EALA MP nominees. UDA or Kenya Kwanza makes a choice. So they've chosen Hassan Omar, Zipporah Kereng, David Sankok, Fred Muteti, and Falhada Dekou Aman. All the other 10 aspirants to be accommodated in other government positions. So, according to Dennis Itumbi, who is the Hustler spokesperson, everything was done, dusted democratically, and concluded at State House. But there was something. 2 things emerged. Number one, there was nobody from the larger Mount Kenya region who had been nominated. Remember, Mount Kenya are actually the majority. So there was nobody. Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula were locked out of this meeting, but their members of parliament were allowed into this meeting. And that's what tilted the equation. And also those members of parliament from northern Kenya. So the second thing which was clear was that there was a scheme by members of parliament from the Rift Valley to block anybody from the mountain from going through. And after that meeting, the eyes of the mountain were opened. And Rigathi Gachagua swung into action. And because the voting was going to be decided on the floor of the House, there was no way they were going to allow the leaders from Rift Valley to lock them out. And they placed a phone call to their colleagues in Jubilee. Because in Jubilee there were 2 people. There was Kanini Kega from Mount Kenya, and also there was Jeremiah Kioni from Mount Kenya, and Fatuma Gedi, who was now an outsider. So they wanted to make sure that even if they were going to lose the other vote, then they were not going to lose. So they were willing now to support either Kanini Kega or Jeremiah Kioni, because according to them, these guys were also going to gang up against Kanini Kega and Jeremiah Makwiny so that nobody from Mountain was going to succeed. And I was reading a post yesterday by Pauline Joronge, who is well knowledgeable on the happenings in the other side. This is what he said. Yesterday, that was now Wednesday, treachery happened at the UDA Parliamentary Group meeting held at Statehouse. There was a clear intention to lock out Mount Kenya EALA candidates, including the very promising Maina Karobia. The event of the day became an eye-opener to Mount Kenya UDA legislators who decided to defy the list that had been agreed on. Immediately, they left State House. They made a call to their Mount Kenya Jubilee counterparts. So it means after the meeting at State House, UDA from Mount Kenya placed phone calls to Kanini Kega and to Jeremiah Makwiny, and also they placed phone calls to their Jubilee counterparts who are also members of parliament. I think Jubilee has a few members of parliament from the mountain. And a meeting was held. So they held a meeting and a resolve made to ensure that Kanini Kega and Karobia make it to EALA by crook and by hook. So that's now what happened. So yesterday, voting took place in Parliament, and the results were actually shocking and very interesting, shocking and telling at the same time. Now, let me just get how the voting took place. At the Senate, at the National Assembly, sorry. Now let me just get the actual figures. No, these were the actual figures. Hassan Omar managed to get 253 votes. Kering Zipora managed to get 223 votes. Songkok managed to get 223 votes. Godfrey Maina managed to get 213. Safely delivered. Now, this is the UDA candidate Mount Kenya wanted. And this is the guy they wanted, the Rift Valley UDA leaders wanted to lock out. So this guy safely was at number 4 with 213 votes. If you look at his votes, it means there were those from Mount Kenya, from Rift Valley, who then now didn't vote for him, and probably cross-voting from the other side helped him. Then there was now Fred Muteti, the Kamba guy, who managed 188 votes. And then there's Valhada, the Co, who got 174. Now Muteti, who is a former Secretary General of UDA, missed out. Why? Because of gender. For ODM, the list also came the way it was expected. Kennedy Kalonzo, number 1 with 262. Then there was Winnie Odinga, who got 247. Then there was Kanini Kega, who got 197. And then there was Shebal, who got 181. Deal, done, and dusted. So Rigathi Gachagua actually outwitted William Ruto in this particular scheme. So in this video, I want us to look at why Rigathi Gachagua decided to flex his muscle in this particular matter. Before we do that, for those who are watching the channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Now, let us get back to the main issue. Why do you think Rigathi Gachagua decided to flex his muscle in this particular matter? Number 1, Rigathi Gachagua wanted to emerge as the protector of Mount Kenya interest. If Mount Kenya had lost, I can assure you, Rigathi Gachagua would be laughing stock in the mountain. And probably that's what the leaders from the Rift Valley wanted to happen. So Rigathi Gachagua saw this. He decided, okay, let me deliver Kanini Kega and let me deliver Maina Korobia. The truth and the fact of the matter is that these two positions have been delivered to the mountain by Mount Kenya members of parliament, who are members of UDA. Without Kanini Kega getting the votes from Mount Kenya, votes from the UDA, he was not going to win. Without Maina Korobia getting votes from the UDA, because then what they did was that they exchanged. Kanini Kega persuaded ODM voted for Maina Korobia. Rigathi Gachagua also persuaded those people not to vote for the other way. So that is number one. As we speak now, Rigathi Gachagua is actually being praised in the mountain as someone who can protect the interest of Mount Kenya. I was just going through some post here by Nyito, a gentleman called Nyito Mwangi. So he's captioning a post here that defeating Wash, warrior unity, and all money is extremely sweet, and is sharing the photo of Rigathi Gachagua. So basically, Rigathi Gachagua is now a hero in the mountain. So that's number two. I also think that the main objective was to stamp Mount Kenya's authority as far as Kenya Kwanza politics is concerned. That you can't just wake up because you have the presidency as Rift Valley and decide for Kenya Kwanza. You can't just lock out Mount Kenya out of Kenya Kwanza politics. So for me, I think that's something they've successfully achieved. Moving forward, I don't think anybody in his own mind, in his wildest dream from Kenya Kwanza would attempt to do something without including the mountain. They'll have to be consulted and their interest will have to be taken care of. So they've successfully now managed to stamp their authority in Kenya Kwanza. Number three, in my view, is that Mount Kenya wanted to send a strong warning to their Kalenjin counterparts that as much as you have the presidency, we also have a stake in this government. You will not succeed in doing things the way you think without the mountain. So after this particular loss, because I was reading the newspaper today, and there's a story about Kimani Ichung'wah accepting that there's a problem, there's some kind of division in Kenya Kwanza, and Cherargei was like, okay, there's no misunderstanding. So the truth of the matter is that they've successfully managed to send a strong warning to their counterparts on the other side. And number three, strategically, what this has done is that it has thwarted any attempt by Kalenjin leaders to form another alliance outside Kenya Kwanza, because they've now been proven that those alliances will not count in parliament. Because if you look at it, there was a collaboration between the Kamba MPs to vote for Kalonzo Musyoka's son. And that's why he got the highest votes. Then Kalenjin, and then Coastal, and then the Northern Kenya. That's what carried the day in Statehouse. Now, when they came to parliament, things changed. Because in parliament, now they have to deal with the ODM, they have to deal with other regions like Western Kenya. But the truth of the matter is that any attempt to form an alliance for purposes of voting cannot succeed minus Kenya Kwanza. And lastly, I also tend to think that probably this is a message also to William Samoei Arap Ruto. He's being told, don't take Mount Kenya for granted. Because why would voting even take place in Statehouse? The voting is known. Once they submitted the names, it was just in order for them to ask Parliament to vote. William Ruto would have actually just told some of his key allies, like, say, Kimani Ichung'wah, that this is my preferred list. That preferred list was going to be shared with the members of Parliament, rather than engineering a voting process at Statehouse to favor the thinking of those from Rift Valley. I don't know what you think, but that's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.